This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are back breaking down the NFL. Specifically, we're previewing the NFC North. We're breaking down the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings. And we're talking about who we think is going to come out on top. Will it be the Lions or will it be someone else? Then we're going to be focusing on the MLB trade deadline. Did we like what the Guardians did or the Reds did or anybody else did? And then finishing up with Olympic talk. Who has won the most gold medals and who has surprised us with the medal count? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are here alive and well. It is August. Is it August 1st?
Tomorrow is August 1st.
Sorry, tomorrow's August 1st.
End of July
recording this on July 31st. Oh, hence this will be back to a normal release schedule. My father has been in town for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. He left last week. So our schedule was just different, let's say. But it was great to have my dad in Hungary. That was fun to just hang out with him and just do different things. And now it's transition time to also like trying to figure out everything in life, but then also watching the Olympics at the same time. So that's what my life's been like, Josh. How's your life been over the last week? Since last we talked?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been hot, I'll say. I mean, it's summertime. We were getting some 90s,
that July
a lot
heat,
of 90-ish degree days this week. Yeah. But tune in for a little bit of the Olympics. Gearing up for
What'd you watch? What'd you watch on the Olympics? That's always the question I ask people. What did you turn on when you flipped it on?
Yeah, when I flipped it on Sunday, they had the swimming events on.
Those are fun to watch. Those are fun to watch.
Yeah, saw a little bit of swimming. When I was at the gym, saw a little bit of the men's basketball team against Serbia.
Which is not even fair. Dude, when they're playing at their best level, it's not like at this point, like, why do they play in the games? Like, honestly, it's just the way they play when they're like actually wanting to win. Like you notice in the game when they want to win and when they don't. That's just what's funny to me, which we'll talk about later in the show. But you were saying you have a vacation coming up. Is that what you said?
Yep, taking a vacation middle of August. Some friends and I are going to go up to Lake Michigan.
Ooh.
Spend some time on the beach up there.
I love how we say there's a beach in Michigan. It just cracks me up every time we say that. It's so funny to me that I mean, they do have a beach, but it's just funny to me that like Michigan has
a lot of them. Yeah, Michigan's the land of lakes. They're all over the place.
But it's the only thing they're good for.
Yeah.
Did they steal your signal? Sorry.
What,
too
signal?
Soon.
Oh,
too soon.
I thought we might have lost connection there is what you were talking about, but
no. I was talking about a man named Connor Stallions.
I was a little late. I thought of it like a second too late. I got you.
You're okay. You're okay. You're all right. Anyways, we are continuing our previews, sort of. So Josh and I talked, and we're like, we've covered all the big conferences in college football. We're not going to go through all the non-power fives because let's be honest. Do we really care? Maybe the MAC we care about, but not really.
Maybe wants to watch to the
who wants to watch
there is a
on Wednesday nights?
There is a G5 that gets an auto bid now.
We can talk about it when it arises because I don't want to talk about games that are, happening on Wednesday nights. Sorry, Mac, you got to fix that. That is just weird. It's just weird. As a coach, I can just like think of my stress level. But anyways, so we decided let's focus on just one NFL division because we still have some NFL divisions to finish. So
the NFC.
Yeah, except we did the NFC. Did we do the NFC South?
No, we've only done the AFC divisions.
That's right. But
kicking off with the NFC today with the NFC North.
So we'll do NFC, and then we'll finish with some news considering the Olympics. We'll talk about the Olympics. We'll also talk about MLB trade deadline, which happened. Did we like what was happening? And then we'll finish up with also, if we have time, a brief thought on the Cedarville men's basketball coaching change, as it is close to my heart, considering I spent 3.5 years with the program. So all of that to be said, Josh, why don't you kick us off? Let's talk about some NFC North, which might be one of the most interesting divisions in all of the NFL this year.
Yeah, from material I was gathering and just trying to get a feel for what other people were thinking. It seems like this division, there's like cases to be made for all four.
Yeah, it's
teams,
kind of wide open.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, just kind of brief overview. You got the Lions, who are one game away from the Super Bowl last year. You got Jordan Love now on a huge contract, was second in the league in touchdowns last year. You got the newly revamped Chicago Bear offense, while it's still young, but you figure maybe the defense can also pitch in a
Revamped.
little bit to help them out. And then you got the Vikings, which got maybe the
Interesting.
best
Yeah.
skill position group in the division, but are going
A
to
quarterback.
have deficiencies at quarterback.
It's kind of like
So
a poor man's version of the AFC North. It's a poor man's version of the AFC North.
maybe
I mean,
three
let's be
three
honest.
teams that could all realistically win the division, then one that's like, I don't see a path.
Exactly my point. Pretty much a poor man's version of the AFC North with less talent at every position, except maybe wide receiver with Minnesota Vikings. But where do you want to start? I say we start with the Bears because I feel like they've been the most newsworthy team in this division
They were the
so
busiest
far.
in the offseason, I think.
Yes,
Just going out and drafting Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze,
which is a great,
trading for
great
Keenan
move. Great move.
Allen,
Great moves.
signing DeAndre Swift. All great stuff. The defense last year, in the last, I think, 10 games allowed 20 points just 3 times or something like that. A lot of
We
those
saw
guys
glimpses. We
return.
saw glimpses of hope.
Added Kevin Byard, I think, at safety. So definitely a fan of that move.
And signed DJ Moore to a huge contract, all guaranteed, which by the way, he's the only receiver in NFL history to have all 7 years of his first 7 years guaranteed in money, which is just wild to me. DJ
It's
Moore.
impressive, yeah. DJ Moore, if you haven't been following, sixth last year in receiving yards.
Yes. He's kind of a
So
quieter guy. Like you don't think of him as a top 10 receiver, really. Like you don't,
yeah,
like he doesn't come to mind when you think of it. And
and the
maybe that's
reason
just
for that,
us.
I think the reason for that is he's been largely for his career on bad teams, and also isn't really a touchdown scorer either.
No, he's not. He's a guy that gets like he's like one of those guys, in high school that racks up like 1,300 yards receiving, but he gets like 4 touchdowns, and you're like,
That's about right, yeah.
doesn't make sense. Like,
Not a big
how's it?
time fantasy option because of that,
And it hurts
unfortunately.
you, and it hurts you because you're like, you want these guys on your team that rack up yards, but like, most leagues, I was thinking about my college league last year. Like,
Touchdowns are always going to score more than
I had a
yards, yeah.
guy who had like 1,800 yards like of total offense and scored like 7 touchdowns. And I was like, well, you're hopeless for me. You're getting me like 7 points every game,
Yeah.
So I think that's the key. And I think too, before we really dive in, I think for the Bears, my uncle is a Bears fan, huge Bears fan. Shout out Uncle Bob. And he's always like, every time we talk about it, he's just like, oh, yep, here we go. And I'll be honest, getting rid of Justin Fields and getting Caleb Williams, I still am not sold that it's a huge upgrade. I'm still not. Because what I've been hearing in Pittsburgh Steelers camp is that Justin Fields has been looking pretty good and pretty dang good. And he might have a chance to win the battle against Russell Wilson. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this better be a home run for the Bears, or you're going to be having a lot of fans guess, because let's be honest, Justin Fields had no help. Like, they've did a disservice. We said this earlier in the year when this happened back in April. They did a disservice for him because they never gave him anything to work with. If they put him on the team now, I think it's completely different. So I'm very interested to see how this team, specifically the defense side of the ball. I think the offense is going to take some time, but the defense side of the ball, they have to be consistent, be the old Bears where defense kind of won them championships, and you can kind of go from there.
Yeah, it's a shame that they didn't do this for Justin sooner to give him a better shot, but I'm way lower on Justin than you and I think most other Ohio State fans. I've seen plenty of film, just him not finding open receivers, wanting to run first, and there's no doubting his athleticism. It's just like, as a quarterback, I don't think he's it, but they
Yeah.
definitely did a lot more for Caleb in this first year than they did for Justin, and it's going to
But I
be.
also think about it too. I think mention on that. I think too though, is like if you watch Justin's games, like when was there a game where he was like he had blocking for like at least 3 quarters? Like every time I would watch him, it's like, yeah, you're right. He missed receivers, but you know what? If I had dudes in my face every 6 seconds, and that's what you're thinking about, I know you're not supposed to think that as a quarterback coach myself. I tell my quarterbacks that, but dude, I get it. Like when you're running for your life, and so to me, it's just so hard because I agree with you. He's not the best prospect in the world. He hasn't been very successful, but I think it's just like without the help, we haven't really got to see the full package of him in the NFL, because we saw it at Ohio State when he got blocking. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So for me, it's if he could win the job at Pittsburgh, then I can change my tune a little bit more and be like, yeah, he is a legit starter. Like right now, I just think there's potential that has just not been unlocked.
Do you think Caleb Williams could be the first Chicago Bears quarterback in franchise history to throw 4,000 yards in a season this year?
No, no. The reason I say that is not because I don't think that he has weapons, of course. I'm still doubting that offensive line, man. Like I just until they like go out and like go like we're gonna get some dudes. To me, I think he'll be like at 35, 36, 3,700. But again, I'm gonna say this with a caveat. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws for 4,000.
It's
But
only an average of 235 yards a game.
yeah, I just, dude, and also Chicago weather, man. Like, I don't know. I think that's also people don't count for the fact that it's windy as crap during the end of the season and it's cold. And he played in LA for the last, what, 2 years. So I'm
Hmm.
interested to see how that affects him. And then can we see him go? Because look, he probably has the biggest weight on his shoulders, even more than Young had last year with the Panthers. Like, they're basically saying you're our dude and you've got to make this team a playoff team in year one. They didn't say that about CJ Stroud. They just said, hey, keep the boat afloat
Hmm.
and improve. And you know what he ended up doing, and we saw what Young did as well. But I'm thinking it's going to be more like a Young season than it's going to be a CJ Stroud season, and that's nothing against Caleb Williams. Again, I'm not as high up as many people are. I think that there's a last year showed me a lot that he's just when he doesn't have maybe the same weapons or the same protection. He just struggles and he doesn't know what to do with the ball. And in the NFL, you know what that means. If you hold on the ball too long in the NFL, you get your bell rung and it's not
Hmm.
even close. So that's my perspective.
We'll see too if he can win the locker room over because everybody always wants to talk about too the painting the fingernails and the wearing the lip gloss and the pink phone case and all the other nonsense that he's involved in off the field. But Bears to me, all that being said, I still think that Green Bay and Detroit are ahead of them, but
Yeah,
it wouldn't
agreed.
shock me, a team that won 7 games last year, if all these improvements and additions they made can add 2 more games and give them a winning season at 9-8. Third place for me.
Yeah, I'm in third place. I have like 9-8, 8-9, something like that. Again, I don't think there's enough there yet. I think they need a year in the system to really get the train rolling. And I just think Green Bay and Detroit are just a little bit better than this team. Detroit a lot better. And again, I haven't seen Caleb Williams play since his time at USC, so I need to see that at a full speed to understand that.
Yeah. We're gonna talk Detroit now. I
Yeah,
think that team that won the division last year made the NFC Championship game.
it's a
I
darn good
love,
team. It's a darn good team.
yeah, I love the way they do it too. Going out and paying a mid-tier quarterback a king's ransom and drafting running backs and linebackers
Just
in the
love
first
it. I
round.
just
And
love it.
we hated their draft, that one draft class that they
We
had,
always hate
2022.
we always hate like some of their picks were like that doesn't make any sense. Why'd you do it? And then they go out there and ball.
Yeah, we're like, you took Jameer Gibbs in the first round. Why, when you already have DeAndre Swift, and then
Oh, it
you're
makes sense
taking,
now.
yeah, yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, a lot of young guys are contributing on the team, like him and Laporta.
But then they sign
Um,
like the veterans like Taylor Decker. They get a guy who's been there his whole career and they say, "Hey, we're going to lock you down as a tackle for us." Like
mhm.
it's such interesting how they do it. It's like young guys, but hey, we want to lock down these veterans for us as well.
Yeah. The offense, Ben Johnson's still there calling the plays. I think the
Surprisingly.
defense, yeah, yeah, he's been getting some head coaching offers, I'm sure, but he's still sticking around. Defense is what's going to be the thing to keep an eye on because the corners have been bad basically since
Yes.
they traded away Darius
Bad.
Slay,
They're
and they're
bad.
putting effort in. They're putting effort in. Added Brian Branch last year, who could have been a defensive rookie of the year winner in most seasons. Also added this year some more rookies in that secondary, leading off with Terrion Arnold, another former Bama defensive back. So
A
they're
good
putting
pick.
effort in there.
Yeah.
That was the one glaring weakness, and they attacked it this offseason. Um, I think also lost a couple offensive linemen, but added Kevin Zeitler was another good move on their part.
Key though, they have the tackles are the same, and that's the key.
Hmm.
You can be in the middle. I hate to say this, but in the middle, you can kind of throw it around, and you can get guys to fit in. But if you can have the outside figured out, the rest can fall into place, and they've kept both of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, the core's still here, and also Josh Reynolds is gone, but I think that's going to open the door for more Jamison Williams.
Who's a
Just dealing
freak,
with like
dude.
the suspensions from
Yeah,
gambling and stuff with him,
funny
but
dude. I'm sorry.
we know he's a burner.
Yeah.
He showed flashes as a rookie, and I think he'll be a much bigger part of the offense this season. So Detroit to me, they attacked the weakness. They maintained the core. Um, I'm picking them to win the division again. Another Super Bowl contending season, I'd expect.
Yeah, I have them winning the division. I have them more like 11-5. Sorry, 11-5, 11-6, 12-5. Like I think that's kind of where they're going to be at. I think, look, this offense is weirdly good. That's the best way I can put it. Like like it's not an
You wouldn't
offense you look
expect it,
at, you're
yeah.
like this offense shouldn't be scoring 28, 30 points a game. They shouldn't. But they do. They have a great offensive line, at least last year. We'll see about this year. Their defensive line is stud. I mean, they have studs on that defensive line. Linebacking core solid. Again, corners worry me, especially in this new age of NFL. If you don't have corners, you don't really win championships. It's very obvious. Like that's why I love the Browns, what they've done with the cornerbacks. I think a lot of teams are starting to do that. They're willing to overpay for a corner if they know what they're going to get is solid. Again, like I said, they have Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. They have these dudes locked in. To me, the key is, can they keep this going? Because if they do and they are successful this year, I think the Detroit Lions are here to stay for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Which wouldn't have expected to be saying that,
I never thought I would
but
say that in my life. If for
yeah.
some reason it's the Lions versus the Browns in the Super Bowl this year, I'm just saying the world will lose their mind. The world will actually say the last two teams to go 0-16 to 10, 15 years ago to then now being Super Bowl contenders would just be the best thing ever. Would honestly
Mm-hmm.
be a storybook ending.
It is a tough schedule for them. They opened the year at home against the Rams, and then they got home game against the Bucks the week after that. A couple more weeks, they play the Cowboys. They also play at Houston Texans. They got to play at 49ers, and then they do host a game with the Bills. So it's a handful of big games on there, but I think Detroit's built for it.
Yeah, I think Detroit has, like I said, they have all the keys. Now they just got to keep putting it together and
Yeah.
continue that streak they had last year.
Yeah, and I think that big difference will be the secondary. It's improved, but it's also young. So how many more, I guess, wins does
Yeah.
that add? We'll see. And then second place, I'm going Green Bay. One of the more shocking teams I think last year snuck in as a wild card at 9-8. And that was largely because of how Jordan Love heated up at the end of the year. There were some inconsistent games there. Like he had one against the Raiders where he had was like 16 of 30 through 3 picks, but as the year went on, he seemed to get more comfortable and find his rhythm and finished, like we said, second in the league in touchdowns and earned him one of those contracts that's paying him like the highest average per year in the NFL right now, which is absolutely insane to me. But
Mm-hmm.
lost Aaron Jones in the offseason, but they went out and got Josh Jacobs. Uh, I don't think there was many other notable moves from them this offseason. I think they're just looking ultimately for some health on the defensive line. They need guys like Rashawn Gary to be like healthy because he's got like the efficiency stats. He just needs to have like, a season where he can put it all together and like be a
Yeah.
regular contributor game in, game out. But yeah, added a little bit more, I think, to that defense too. They went out and got Javon Bullard. They went out and got Edrin Cooper. Uh, let's see, there was and then Xavier McKinney to safety too. So yeah, there's some nice like middle tier smaller moves there on the defense to help out there. And then we'll see if Jordan Love can be more consistent this
I,
season. And then we'll see what Green Bay can do. But I'm thinking 10 wins.
yeah, I'm at 10 win spot. I think with the Packers, and again, I think, look, part of me says they got a little lucky last year. Now I don't believe in luck, but I just there's just it was a little weird year. The question is, did Jordan Love deserve 55 million? No, that's the answer. Like I think Josh and I both can agree on that.
I don't think
But
anybody was going to
but
go and steal him and pay
this
him
is the
55
thing.
million either.
But it's the new age of the NFL. We talked about this before the show started, before we started recording. We are like, it's the way it works now. Like if you want a quarterback, you overpay, even if that means, you got to do, except according to Jerry Jones, sometimes you just can't buy everything. And I'm like, Jerry Jones, you are a multi-billionaire. What do you mean you can't buy anything? Little weird, Jerry Jones. Speaking of Dak, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting to me with the Packers because I'm curious of how how Jordan Love's going to play in this second season, because we've seen a lot of guys that have a great first breakout season and then they struggle, kind of like the Baker Mayfield when he had a really good season and kind of had a rough next season. The question for Packers fans, I know a lot of them because they never spend this much money the Packers do. Will they regret all these different moves? Did they overspend? Have they done the right moves here and there? Again, put it all together, see what happens, and then obviously you can grow from there. But again, 55 million against the cap, that's a lot of money that you got to like focus in on one guy. The question is, how are they going to be able to play on the field? What's the run game going to be like? Are they going to be able to have a balanced attack, or is it going to be pass heavy? Kind of what it was last year at times. That's going to be the key.
Yeah, I think so. And Green Bay too, if the Jordan Love like pick works out, because everybody hated it
Oh, I
initially.
love it. Even like the Pat McAfee show where the guy was acting like Mel Kiper and he was just like
Hmm.
lost it. And he was like throwing things. He's just like, it's the worst move that could ever. I mean, even we were both like, we talked about it a few years later. Like we were like,
At the time,
what,
you're
what in
looking
the
to get
world?
Rodgers some weapons, and you instead draft a quarterback that's a project that's going to take 3 or 4 years to get
Huh?
ready.
Sounds like something that happened previously when Brett Favre was the quarterback.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny how
it's
they do this.
I do kind of like it because like that kind of philosophy is largely gone now. Not a lot of
Yes.
teams want to do that. They want a quarterback that can play now, and they want to make moves to help them win now. But it's at least keeping them consistent contention every season.
Yes, for sure.
Well, that leaves us then with the Minnesota Vikings, who are largely picked to finish last year. Lowest over-under win total, 6.5. But even if they beat it and get 7 wins, they at least match last year's total. Like we said, I think this is the best like skill group out of everybody in the division. Just looking around, seeing Justin Jefferson, who signed a big time extension to stay, even with Kirk Cousins leaving, because JJ McCarthy is him. You got Jordan Addison over there, who impressed as a rookie. You got TJ Hawkinson, who's one of the best tight ends in the league. And then defensively,
Uh,
or wait, no, they added Aaron Jones too on the offense. So staying in the division, going over to division rival Minnesota Vikings. The defensive line was a weakness last year. They did lose Daniil Hunter as well, but then added Jonathan Greenard, added Andrew Van Ginkel, and then also drafted Dallas Turner in the drafts. Uh, so secondary, like for them, like pass defense in general was a weakness on Minnesota, and they decided to attack it not by going out and getting corners like Detroit did, but go out and revamp the pass rush and try to take some pressure off of those guys. So a little bit different of a strategy that could pan out. Also, I mentioned JJ McCarthy, their 10th overall pick. He's apparently not even leading the battle right now. It's
I,
Sam Darnold, which makes you wonder,
you
is
know what,
JJ maybe one of these
you know,
long-term like development quarterbacks too?
what's so great, Josh, is that we both, before the draft happened, we both said JJ McCarthy is not a first round QB. We said we'll put him there because why? Because we
Because
know
we
there's a
know that
team
teams
is going to
will
draft
do
him.
it. Someone's going to do it.
But we said from the beginning, we have not seen enough of this guy to show that he is a quarterback you can rely on when a team doesn't have 7 running backs and an offensive line that is made out of bulldozers to just run over people. Because let's be honest, that's not what the Vikings are going to do. They want him to throw. I mean, you don't have three
When
of
you
the
got
best pass
receivers like
catchers.
that, you want to throw.
Yeah. So
You didn't pay Justin Jefferson that
this,
much money to,
I never thought I would say
yeah,
this. Sam Darnold might have just found the best position he could be in, because if he proves, that he can be the starter, like JJ McCarthy could sit for 2 to 3 years if Sam Darnold can revise his career, or rejuvenate, whatever that word is, um,
rejuvenate.
rejuvenate. There we go. It is fascinating to me because, look, I thought 10 was just ridiculous. Like, I get it, late in the first round, late in the teens. Like, I don't think anybody's, going to reach for him. And then you see the Vikings, and I'm just like, what? Um, and so again, I don't want to rehash what we talked about previously, but to me, this just doesn't make a lot of sense. And it worries me that he's behind, because you hear about a lot of the other rookie quarterbacks, they all seem to be doing pretty well at what they're expected. But if you're a Vikings fan, like what are you thinking, Josh? Like, you got rid of Kirk Cousins, and now
Hmm.
your guy you're spending a lot of money on as a rookie quarterback might not even be your guy. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting in Minnesota. If JJ, like for whatever reason, does end up winning the job and pans out like they think they can, I think Minnesota is a team that can contend for the division. I just don't
Yes.
anticipate that
No.
happening. But I think too that this skill group can maybe help out even the worst of quarterbacks. It always makes a difference when you got weapons. So maybe Minnesota does still get that seventh win, beat their over under win total, and I guess exceed expectations in a way. But there's just so much more going on at the quarterback position on the other teams in this division that I believe in
Yeah.
way more. A lot more additions that I like in the offseason that other teams made than them. So yeah, Minnesota, a team that just won 13 games 2 seasons ago, now is like in a rebuilding phase right now. So I think that they are on track. They're definitely there on their way, but it could take another season or two.
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100% with you on that. I just think they need to figure out is he the guy, and that's the question for sure.
Right. And if he's not yet, will they be patient enough like Green Bay was with Jordan Love?
No, it's the Vikings. No, no.
I'm trying to think of like other quarterback projects that they've taken on, but like the last several quarterbacks they've had are guys that like they've gone out and like either traded for or signed like Kirk Cousins and then that one season where Brett Favre was there. And they have like even before that, like been a team that's like not really cared about quarterback all that much. They've thrown out guys like Joe Webb and Tavares Jackson,
Culpepper,
and Dante Culpepper was solid though for like a couple seasons
dude,
there.
that was my dude in backyard football, Dante
Yeah, he
Culpepper.
was also thrown to like Chris Carter and Randy Moss too, which helps.
Dude, also Randy Moss back in the day, like young version Randy Moss. Dude,
Yeah,
he's like
setting all
unreal.
the receiving records for
Like
youngest to do this, youngest to do
that
that.
Thanksgiving Day game where he had 3 catches for like 160
163
yards,
yards, three
three
touchdowns.
touchdowns. And he's like, I'm him, and I'm like, yes, you are. Yeah,
Yeah, heck of a
you do
stat
that.
line. Mooning
That's
the Lambeau Field crowd.
this is great. I
Yeah,
miss the old like bringing a cell phone out of the padding. Like I miss those days. So
Terrell Owens taking a pen out of his sock.
dude,
Mm,
they're great. I love them and I miss them.
yeah.
Now that speaking of NFL, before we get moving on, now they have a new rule with kickoffs. You have to tell the other team when you're onside.
Oh, we
That
do
is
have to
the
talk about this.
that is
Yeah.
the
How
stupidest. That is
stupid
the
this is.
stupidest rule. For example, I want to use our game. By the way, we lost the championship. We talked about it last week, but the last regular season game, we played the team that we lost to in the championship. We were down a touchdown. We scored with like a minute and a half to go. We were down a touchdown. We decided to go for an onside kick. They weren't ready for it. So now you're telling me if the
Hmm.
Browns score a late touchdown and they're down 6 points or 3 points, we have to go, excuse me, we are going to onside kick it. What's the point? Like,
See, in situations like that, you're setting up for it and you almost always know it's coming. But what I hate about this is like that extra step you have to take. But also think about like the Super Bowl between the Saints and the Colts, where the
yeah,
Saints open up the second half with an onside kick and totally catch the
you
Colts off
can't do that
guard, and how
now.
that just continued momentum for them and they eventually win the game.
It,
Now you can't do it unless what you are the losing team and you are in the fourth quarter and you have to announce it. Like just say you want to get rid of it. Like eventually the onside kick's going to be gone. Like this is just the
but
first
then,
step that they're
but then this is my
taking
question then.
towards that.
What is an onside kick then, technically? Because technically, the kicker, we saw Pat McAfee do this many times, he boots it forward 15 yards and recovers it. Is
Yeah.
that an onside kick now? Or what is an onside kick? Is it just because you have so many guys on one side of the field? Because we had a kicker here in Hungary who would boot it about 30 yards down the field. He'd put backspin on it. It would backspin back and we'd recover it.
Hmm.
So my question is, when do we consider an onside kick an onside kick?
Yeah.
And that's something that's
Is it
not
strictly
been
based on formation?
because if it's based on like no formate, if it's based on a formation, then if I'm a special teams coach, which I am as
Or
well,
if
and
it's
I would just tell them like, okay, we'll line up even, and then you just choose a side. Like it's not hard, but it makes it more frustrating
or is
because
it any kick that is just 15 yards or less?
which again, what if a guy shanks it? You
Yep.
know, so I'm so irritated because the NFL, which then what causes is when the NFL does it, college football does it. When college football does it,
They always follow. Yep.
high school does it, then Europe does it, and so then I'm starting to coach over here with weird rules, and it's like I could tolerate the new kickoff rule, because at least there's more kickoff touchdowns. Like here in Europe, the European League, there's been 10 kickoff touchdowns this year, which is awesome. It's fun to see again. But again, what's the point? If you just want to get rid of it, then just get rid of it. Don't make it lame. When you make it
Yeah.
lame, it just makes it all look stupid and we look like a laughing stock, right? It's the same with baseball, it's the same with basketball. Like, just stop getting rid of it. Like in basketball, in Philippines, they've added a 4-point line to the basketball. But why? Like, don't ruin the game that we know and love if it's not really benefiting anyone. And especially the onside kick is the dumbest rule. To be honest, it might be the dumbest decision Roger Goodell and the team that leads the NFL has made. And I'm not afraid to say that. It might be the dumbest thing they've ever done.
It's up there. There's a lot of rule changes they made, but yeah, this one is one of the most cringe that I can remember in recent memory.
Anyways, we should move on before I go on a tirade again.
Yeah, we can talk some MLB trade deadline moves.
I mean, the Reds did absolutely nothing.
There were a lot of teams that were busy. Some busy selling, some busy buying. A team that wasn't busy buying was my Cleveland Indians. First place in the division.
By the way.
First place in the division, first place in the American League.
It's not shocking, though. It's not shocking, really.
Yeah, you'd think that, like, when you're in first place and you got a legit World Series chance and you got a glaring weakness with outfield bats and with starting pitchers, that you'd try to be aggressive. We got this super strong farm system full of prospects that we can definitely part with. We got guys that we can part with to try to get guys to win now. And instead, what we pull off is a trade for Lane Thomas, an outfielder. I think former All-Star.
Who's not having a great season, by the way.
No. And then you go out and make a trade for 37-year-old Alex Cobb, who is a one-time All-Star.
When you had
pitched.
A bunch of dudes out there that were way better that you could have gotten probably with a little more pricey, but still would have gotten some quality arms.
Yep. I'm thinking of guys like Jazz Chisholm. I'm thinking of guys like Jack Flaherty.
Speaking of
guys like Garrett Crochet. Yeah, Jazz Chisholm hit 4 home runs in 24 hours in his New York debut.
By the way, his name Jazz and the way he looks when he's been hitting these home runs, he fits into New York City like anyone. Like, he's going to be there for a long haul because they're going to sign him to an extension. Like, like when you looked at him, it's like, that's New York Yankee. Like,
I was actually a little shocked that the Yankees of all teams got him, because they're not that like he had like a beard or anything, but like they're like the clean cut, like, we're classy.
He wears chains all over him.
Yeah, like he's very flashy. Like, I mean, they have had guys with personalities,
but they don't really though.
But
like, they really have dudes that are like, this is business, and he's just like, I'm having fun, Dad. That's the way he is.
4 home runs in his first 24 hours as a Yankee too.
By the way, the first Yankee ever to have 4 home runs in his first 3 games. First Yankee ever. Think about that. First
out of
Yankee
all the guys that have come through there. Yeah,
Jazz Chisholm.
that's a move that's going to really help them out, and it could be another bat that puts them over Cleveland.
A move that was stupid that didn't happen was the Yankees did not get what's his face. He went to the Dodgers, Flaherty because of injury concerns, but he's not injured. But yet the Dodgers went ahead and got him, which was very weird to me. And almost makes me feel like the Dodgers are doing something behind the scenes, which wouldn't surprise me.
Dodgers went out and got Flaherty. They went out and got Ahmed Rosario, which, by the way, second year in a row, I think, that they have traded for Ahmed Rosario.
Just sign the guy.
Yeah. They went out and got Kevin Kiermaier.
Tommy Edman as well.
Yeah. Just I know that. Okay, yeah. Flaherty has had, like, not this season, but in the past,
he's had bad. Yeah, but it's like, then why would you try to make the trade if you had a feeling about it? It's just weird.
Just to like try to like lowball, like maybe like low investment, like, hey, this guy's injured, we can give you like these pennies over here in this bag of chips, like really not worth that much anyways. So we'll take them off your hands.
I mean, we saw that the Marlins were sellers, and we also saw the White Sox were sellers.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the White Sox might be the worst baseball team I have ever watched. Like, ever watched. Like, I don't know if there's a team, like, imagine being traded to the White Sox. Like, let's say you're on one of these good teams and you're like, man, this is awesome. and then you're like, you get an agent call. Hey, you're going to the White Sox. What? Can you just cut me? Like, I would rather just be cut at this point.
Yeah, on the flip side, if you're Tommy Pham getting sent out, or you're Paul DeYoung getting sent out, you're like, thank goodness, man. This is miserable.
What about Tommy Pham going back to the Cardinals, reuniting,
Yeah, I
which is
seen
interesting.
he homered in his one of his first few games over there too. But
The Reds were weird. They were like sort of sellers, but sort of buyers. I really didn't understand what the Reds did. They like traded
yeah, tell
Lucas
me about
Sims.
that. I
So
think the Cardinals made some small moves and the
yeah.
Pirates made some small moves to like try to
So
contend in that
this
division.
is weird because the Cubs were also buyers, which didn't make sense to me because the Cubs are a lot worse than the rest of the division. But Lucas Sims, getting rid of Lucas Sims, I was a little frustrated because he's been with the club for like the last 6 years and he's always been solid. And I get it. Like, if you're going to be sellers, I get it. But then they didn't sell anyone else. Like, they didn't trade Jonathan India, which everyone thought he was going to be traded pretty much straight up. They thought a few of the other guys. I mean, they traded Frankie Montes. Thank you
Hmm.
so much because that man had a 5 year, which, by the way, what are the Brewers doing getting a guy that has a 5 year? I mean, he's looked terrible. Like, I haven't seen a guy look this bad
Brewers are
in
in
a
first
while.
place.
Yeah, and they traded for him. And again, we got some
Yeah.
young guys. We got a guy that used to play at the University of Cincinnati. Um, the other move that we made, we got Ty France, I think it was. That was a little weird too.
Yes.
I didn't quite get like that's not really an upgrade. Now, people forget, and I've told Cincinnati Reds fans, like, guys, we've lost so much of our team this year. I mean, Carcion Strand has been pretty much out the whole year. You have not seen McLean at all this year. Friedel's been banged up. Marte got suspended for the first half of the year. You've had the only healthy people you've had on this team is Stevenson, De La Cruz, and Candelario. Like and India. That's pretty much all the healthy guys you've had the whole year. So again, a little weird. I felt like, look, if you know this season's probably not sustainable, then go ahead and sell. Get rid of some of these guys. Maybe you can, recoup some things. But if you're gonna buy, then go buy. Like, don't do this like kind of what the Indians did. Like,
Yeah.
don't just go buy these dudes that have
We do
no
this every year.
impact. Like, I
Yeah.
don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Always like looking for like the clearance at the dollar store kind of trade.
Like, I don't want that.
I
Like, if you're
hate
gonna
it.
go for it, go for it.
Yep.
And so those moves were a little weird for me. Um, again, I thought the Guardians made some weird moves. A team that I was shocked didn't make really any moves was the Braves. I mean, they got Soler, but they did nothing. Like, I thought they were at least going to go out and try to grab
Yeah, that's
someone.
another guy that went back to like a team that like he did really well for. Like he
Yeah.
was obviously a big bat for that World Series
But
team.
didn't it make
But
it weird though? Like, they didn't go out and try to get maybe one more starting pitcher
yeah.
or go out and get one big bat outside of Soler. I just thought
And
there were
I don't
missing
know if
pieces.
that's because they're just relying on like their guys to like
They're all
return to form.
injured.
Like there's some guys there that are injured, like Acuna's out for the season. They have some guys like Matt Olson and like Austin Riley to an extent that haven't been like hitting up to like what they're capable of. And I don't know if they're just like waiting on those guys, trying to be patient or not panicking. But Soler is nice, but yeah, for a team like them, uh, I would have expected a little bit more. The Orioles made some nice moves, I think, too.
They traded away Hayes to the Phillies, who ended up homering also in his like second game with the Phillies. So that was interesting to me. Like,
Mm.
all these dudes homering, by the way, in like their
Hmm.
first or second game, which is so funny to me. Like,
Nice change of
hey,
scenery
screw
for you.
you. Like,
Yeah.
screw you guys.
And then I think another big notable move was the Mariners going out and getting Randy Arozarena.
I think that was a smart move. Also, did you see he stayed behind to like watch their like game that evening? I thought it was really funny. Like, he
Was
was just
shaking
sitting in the
hands with
stands.
everybody in the
Yeah,
outfield.
he was just sitting in the stands, just like hanging out. It was just
Yeah.
that's just cool.
Very, very down year for him. But
But
you
potential's
never know
there.
what. Yeah, there's potential there. I mean, this guy's been like such a big performer in the playoffs. He's an all-star, like just a very uncharacteristic season for him, and that could maybe benefit from a change of scenery. And then, like I was saying, I like what the Orioles did. They went out and got Zach Eflin, Trevor Rogers, starting pitchers.
Gave up a
Like,
lot. Gave up a lot for some of these guys, but
yeah, like their ERAs are like low to mid fours right now, which isn't anything spectacular, but needed some starting pitching depth to be able to compete with New York
brought up
and
Jackson Holiday as
Cleveland.
well.
Jackson Holiday hit a grand slam too, and I
Which,
think
by
his
the way,
first game.
today, it was a bomb. I mean,
And they,
his swing is so beautiful. By the way, it's a beautiful swing. If he could just figure out how to hit in the majors, he's going to
yeah,
be a really heck of a player.
made a trade for Eloy Jimenez, which maybe also kind of like a Rosarena may not look fantastic on paper, but a guy that's
Has
been
pop.
solid in the past. That if he can break out, yeah, the Orioles are just another team that Cleveland would have to worry about in the American League. But yeah, I could go on and on about how Cleveland like does this every year and is
It's
never
just
like a serious World
it's
Series
just a
contender because of it. But
hey, live in hope, all right? Look where I'm at with my Reds, all right? Just think about that. Just live in that hope that
but
there's a chance.
I'd like to think that if Cincinnati was in our position, that they would at
They
least
probably
part
would
with some of
though.
these
I
prospects for
do
a big
think
bat.
knowing the Reds, they have done that in the past. They have at the deadline when they've been in contention, gotten a bat. They've given up some of their dudes. I think last year I was shocked they didn't give up some of the guys for someone because they were really a bat away, really a bat,
Hmm.
maybe an arm away from making the playoffs. So I think
Yeah,
I'm hoping that once they're healthy and next year comes around, that it's a new team for sure.
I can just see our front office in these like interviews about like why we weren't more aggressive at the deadline, saying things like, well, Gavin Williams, he's healthy. He just made his debut. It's basically like getting like a all-star caliber starting pitcher for free without having to give anything up. It's like, no, he's already on our team.
So
These other starting
we want to get a catcher that hits 280. Sorry, no, we can't. It has to be under 200.
180. Oh, 180 is the limit. Okay.
Great, thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah. Not serious
Thanks for Luke
contenders.
Maley. He's hitting under 200. It's like the dilemma's coming back to the Reds now from the
Oh, you're more
Indians.
than
Goodness,
welcome, brother.
dude, it's like literally, like a disease. When you go to Cleveland, you like automatically as a catcher hit under 200.
Hit under 200, and if you hit above, you get switched to DH or first base.
Like it's like when you sign the contract, it says that in there.
Yeah.
Please hit under 200. I mean, even like the Martin Maldonado thing from the White Sox, he about made the All-Star team hitting like 087, which would have just been hilarious. He just gets
Right.
fan voted in. Just by the way, the White Sox they're like 27 and 70, which is just wild for me to think about. Just wild. Anyways, that's baseball.
Yeah. We could
What's
talk Olympics.
Yes, the Olympics, which by the way, if you've been following us on our Instagram, you will see how many Olympic things I've posted. Oh my word. Like every time there's a new medal, and I'm like, half the stuff I'm like, I've never even watched the sport. But obviously right now it's
Most recently, Katie
yeah,
Ledecky won the 1500-meter
yes,
freestyle,
the
her
seven
eighth gold
medals.
medal.
Yeah, eighth gold medal. Um, the Simone Biles and the team recouped from they got gold. The US has struggled a little bit. They've gotten a lot of bronze and silvers this year, but a lot, if you don't know, a lot of the gymnastics, swimming, a lot of like the cycling and the kayaking, the marathons, like all that happens early on in the Olympics. The track events happen at the end, obviously in the finals for like basketball, soccer, all that happens like middle to the end. So as we're recording this, the U.S. men's basketball team won their second game of the Olympics, beating South Sudan, who almost beat them in the exhibition, beat them by like
Yeah.
15 or 16. So it's been interesting. I want to ask you, Josh. I wouldn't go over all the different medals. I'm going to go over the current medal count. But while I'm pulling that up, Josh, why don't you give us a sport that intrigues you from kind of the medals you've been seeing pop up throughout our stories and stuff?
I don't think I got to see any medals, but I did see a little bit of replays from skateboarding. I was like, oh,
Dude,
I
that is
didn't even know
awesome,
that.
dude. It's
I didn't even
so
know that
cool.
skateboarding was in the Olympics. So kind of neat. Yeah, the like I said, I only was seeing like some swim, and then like I've been following a little bit of the basketball games, and then yeah, just happened to see the skateboarding up too. But
Here,
yeah,
here's the medals.
we lead the
Here,
total medal count right now,
yes,
I
here's the
think.
medals. Are you looking at it right now or not?
I'm
Here
looking
we
at it,
go.
yeah.
All right. Close your eyes. I want to see if you remember this. Who is the top three in gold medals currently?
United States is one. Um, is Australia up here?
No. And neither's the United States in gold medals.
Oh, we're talking gold medals.
Yes,
I
gold
thought you were
medals.
talking
No,
totals.
gold medals.
Okay.
Think
Does the host country, France, have?
they're second. They're tied for second.
What about
Think big.
China?
China's number one with 9. Tied with France is Japan with 8 gold
Okay.
medals. And I guess Australia's in there. They have 7. Great Britain and South Korea are tied for the next with 6. and then the United States with 5. United States has 13 silver medals. I don't know. It's like second loser. That's like first loser being second. And then they have 12 bronze medals for a total of 30. And the second place is France with 26 medals. Third is China with 19. Then Great Britain has 17, Australia 16, and then Japan 15. Hungary is down in 28th with 3 medals, 2 silvers and 1 bronze. They actually, their best one, he's a fencer, he actually didn't medal in an individual, which was very interesting. But all right, we're gonna quiz you here, Josh. Throw me some random countries that you think have a medal in the Olympics this year. Just think of some countries, random countries that you think have a medal in the Olympics this year.
Well, I don't know if they got one, but I'm gonna just think of random countries.
Yeah, that's
Trinidad
fine.
and Tobago,
They do not.
uh, Chile.
Chile does not.
Oh
Think
man, I'm going
think
really random.
think some like
Portugal.
Asian countries. Portugal. No, Portugal.
Asian
Shocking.
countries. Let's go Taiwan.
Taiwan. No.
Mongolia.
Yes, Mongolia has one. They have a silver medal, which I believe was in wrestling, I believe.
How about India?
India has 2. They have 2 bronze medals.
Hmm.
You throw me one more.
South Korea.
Oh yeah, South Korea is dominating. They have 12 medals. Throw me like a this one's gonna be funny. What about the other Korea?
North Korea?
They have 2 medals. They have 2 silver
Oh.
medals, which I think is hilarious because like there was a moment where the South Korean took a selfie with the North Koreans. I don't know if that South Korean's still living, but we'll see. Here's some other random countries, and tell me if this is shocking to you. Fiji has a silver medal.
Good.
Kosovo has 2 medals.
Never heard of that.
Uzbekistan has 1 gold medal.
Hmm.
Azerbaijan has 1 gold medal.
Never heard of that.
Kazakhstan has 3 medals.
Wow.
Country of Georgia has 2 medals. Hong Kong has 4 medals. They have more than Netherlands, New Zealand, and Belgium, which is crazy to me. Let me think of some other random ones. Oh, this is
I
a good
didn't know
one.
that like Hong Kong got to be independent in the Olympics
They
of
are.
China.
Yes, they are.
Hmm.
So technically they're called Hong Kong China, which is interesting.
So there's a China and a Hong Kong China.
So there's China and then there's Hong Kong China.
I see. They had
Then
to stick it on there somehow.
they had to. Moldova has 2 medals. Egypt has 1 medal. Tajikistan has 1 medal. Ooh, who would have thought? And Ukraine has 1 medal. So an interesting total amount. Obviously, there's some fun events coming up. Rebecca's cousin, who was in the men's gymnastics, he was in the all around, finished 9th in the world. And I don't care if you finish 9th because he's 22 years old. He's just now become the 9th best at his sport. Like, I don't care who you are. That is impressive. And so I was able to watch him today, which is really cool. So congrats to
Golf clap to Rebecca's cousin.
Christopher in English is what his name is. So
that actually makes me think, Ben. I've been seeing this question get floated around.
Yes.
I think it's good to ask this on the show and to the listeners to throw in the comments. Let's just say you're a Olympic athlete. I'm going to paint you 2 scenarios, and you tell me which one you'd be most excited for, I guess, or the most satisfied with.
Okay.
You're favorited to win gold, but you screw up and you only get silver, or you're projected to be like out of the top 5, but you overperform and get a bronze. If you're leaving the Olympics after that, like which one are you feeling better about? The silver is the higher medal, obviously, but you really should have gotten gold.
The bronze.
But bronze, you were expecting to get nothing, and you ended up placing.
There's no way I could like if I was supposed to win and I got look, we were supposed to win. I got silver. This thing has been sitting on my desk and has not moved until I picked it up right now. It's been at the same spot since the last show. I would take the bronze because I think and that's the same thing for Christopher. Like he wasn't necessarily supposed to make the final, but he did. And he finished 9th. So like that, I think it just gives you that motivation. So So yeah, I think that would be my answer, I guess, if that makes sense.
I think I'd
So
be bronze too. Like I'm just
yeah,
thinking, like let's just say you're a track athlete and like you're supposed to win gold, but you're slow out of the blocks, and that makes you get silver, or you're supposed to win gold in gymnastics, but you have like a fall, and then that puts you at silver, something like that,
I just think
or
that'd be
like you're
so demoralizing, like
yeah.
you'd be leaving like, great, I got silver.
Like the classic Michaela Maroney not impressed meme. Like she was
Yeah.
supposed to get gold in that event, but
Well,
yeah, just was
what's even like
dissatisfied with the silver.
Hungary today, I think it was the 100-meter breaststroke maybe or backstroke, I'm not sure. But the Hungarian swimmer he was a body length ahead going into the last turn. And they turned, and then the guy from, I think it was Australia, ended up coming back and beating him, and he got silver. Which, this is the guy who set some records. He's very successful. He's one of the best Hungarian swimmer, and I think that's what's fascinating, because like, what do you think of him? Like, him coming back to Hungary, like, is he happy that he got a silver, or is he going to be? Because I believe he got a gold medal last games. It's like, where do you sit? And it's the same with the guy that was a fencer for Hungary. Like, he's won the last 3 gold medals, and now he didn't even medal. So like, like, how do you comprehend that is the
Hmm.
question.
Yeah,
And what's
I
also
think
fascinating, what's
yeah.
also fascinating too, is like, there was an example of a girl that, I don't know if you saw this story. She's representing Chile in table tennis. She's 58 years old. She left
Yep.
China. Like, those stories, like, that's just cool. And like, there's a lot, which, by the way, I want to be at a sport where I can be an Olympian at like 60, like maybe trap shooting, or like, some of those weird ones. But yeah, and that's what's, I guess, makes the Olympics so great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and kayaking. Did you see the kayaking? That is fascinating. They
I didn't
drop
know.
you from like 10 feet and you jump down into the waves, and you obviously have to go all the way through, but it's a
Hmm.
very interesting course. But
Guess so.
yeah, anyways, that's the Olympics. We'll go into more as the Olympics happen. Obviously, we'll break down more as they finish up. I do know that France spent 1.2 billion US dollars to clean up the river in time for the triathlon.
Hmm.
To think about what that money could be used for. But it's the French. Anyways, that is all that. But there is one last thing I do want to say before we go. And that is the Cedarville move. If you guys didn't hear, this hits Josh and I home to heart, close to heart, because we've been around the program for a lot of time, specifically me, but also Josh has watched and covered them. Pat Estep, the long time Cedarville head coach.
Very
I think of
long.
15 years, I believe, but he was an assistant for like 8 previous years. So he's been around for like 24 or 25 years. He stepped down this past week, resigned from his position, which shocked everyone, especially this late in the cycle. Josh and I have covered basketball, and you're at the point now where you're getting ready to start off season and,
You
all
already
that
got
stuff.
like, yeah, you already recruited the 2024, 2025
Yeah.
class in.
So it's interesting. He's resigned. He does not say what he's going to be doing next. He says he's going to coach or be a part of basketball, supposedly. So I don't know what's next. But the Cedarville Yellow Jackets did get a new coach as of today, which, by the way, was fast if you think about it. Like, that was like super fast, because I mean, obviously it was announced, so they obviously might have had some time to think about it. But the guy who has been hired as the new men's basketball coach at Cedarville is named Rob Jones. He's recently served as the associate head coach at Liberty for the last 2 years, and previously was at Richmond. So a D1 experienced coach. He's been in the D1 for
Yep.
the last 20 years. I think more D2 schools are doing this. They're trying to get those guys to come. It's interesting. It seems like a great man of faith, which obviously we care about at Cedarville. Again, hopefully it goes a little more successfully than what has happened when Carrie left, because since Carrie's left, the women's program has kind of stalled. So hopefully that he can keep on that winning tradition, and that men's basketball goes forward. So that, my thought is, it's if they feel it's right, I trust, Dr. White and Chris Cross and all of them are there to make the right decision. I hope I'm still welcome back as an alumni, as someone who's helped with the program. I've always loved being able to go back and help out with camps and stuff like that and visit the team, but we'll see. But yeah, any thoughts for you, Josh, on that hire, and maybe the news of Estep stepping down as well?
Yeah, it sounds like a win-win. Someone that's been like very close to being a head coach at the D1 level that can get that head coaching experience at a D2 program. I'm guessing eventually he's going to want to like coach at the D1 level again. So maybe this isn't going to be someone that's going to be
Yeah.
here 20 plus years like Pat Estep was, but at least for the time being, like, especially like you said, very quick. But it seems like a really good move, despite it being quick. Somebody that has been on the recruiting trail for the D1 level, also for the Christian level. Like, there's obviously like,
The
we can't just
ties.
go out
Yeah.
and get anybody. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
be able to get kids in that obviously can follow along with the school's covenant and also um be aligned in that way. So yeah, I really do like that hire. I didn't know that they did that until you just brought it all up, but seems like a solid move. Hopefully it's some one that can be around for a few years before I'm guessing he will want to take a head coaching job at
Yeah.
the D1 level again. But yeah, I like it.
What did you think about Estep stepping down? Did it shock you, or because
It did, yeah. Like I figured like he'd be a lifer at this point.
I thought so, but I also thought because he'd been getting like bigger jobs, so he got like he was ahead of like the coaches of the NABC. He had been like the last few years I felt a little different vibe when I've been around him, like when I would visit and stuff. So I don't know, like I part of me thought he would never leave, but then there was part of me where I was like, maybe when he saw Carrie, and I don't know this again, I haven't talked with him, but I don't know, maybe it was like when Carrie left, he kind of was like, maybe there is an opportunity for him out there because like I think he's a good coach. I think that I'm honored to have worked under him. But yeah, for I guess for you maybe it's like a shocker because I think we all viewed when we were at Cedarville, maybe outside of me because I was with the program, but everyone viewed Pat Estep as like the basketball coach, like the guy outside of Don Callen, like he's the guy type thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is fascinating. Also, Cedarville and Liberty tend to work together with coaches for some reason and players because Mogmer just left Cedarville to go play at Liberty, and now they're like
Hmm.
trading, like swapping. But anyways, we hope you guys have had a great time with us here. I know Josh and I love talking the Olympics, football. There's so many sports going on, Josh. I feel like it's a fire hose right now.
Yeah.
But before we know it, college football season will be kicking off. We'll be doing our previews. We'll be doing all of our fun Heisman watch lists, which we all know will be totally correct when we bring them out because they always are. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have, go ahead and click that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you're watching on YouTube, that'd be tremendous. In the comment below, answer the question that Josh posed earlier. Josh, can you go ahead and re-enter that question so they
Yeah.
understand what it is?
So as far as like Olympic experience goes, would you rather be favorited for the gold, but underperform and get silver, or would you rather be looked at as someone placing out of the top five that overachieved and finished with a bronze?
That's the question. But you know what? Josh is always going to get a gold in my book.
Shucks.
Uh, oh, he didn't like that one. Anyways, and if you love listening to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a good old star rating. Let us know, share it with friends and family. And as always, we'll see ya.